Welcome back to The Deep Dive, and for our regular listeners, a special welcome to the Living Hope Cast. Today we're getting into a message from Mike Malman, delivered on Sunday, January 24th at Living Hope Community Church. And it's based on a phrase that I think we've all heard and maybe even rolled our eyes at: this too shall pass.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting place to start a new year, because the point of the message wasn't just to, repeat some feel-good line. It was really getting at a reality that hits so many of us in January. We come into 2026 with all this energy resolution.
A clean slate.
Exactly, a clean slate. But then a few days in, you realize the old struggles from 2025.
Yeah.
They didn't get the memo. They're still right there with you.
It's like your baggage just followed you right into the new year. And he made this really personal, didn't he? He grounded it in his own pretty turbulent 2025.
He did. He talked about the weight of it all. There were relational issues, financial problems, and then his nonprofit, Serve Wenatchee.
It was destroyed by a flood.
It's just destroyed. And then right before Christmas, his 87-year-old dad had a stroke.
Wow.
And in the middle of all that, people kept offering that phrase, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And that's what really triggered this whole deep dive into the saying itself.
Okay, so let's unpack that. It's a phrase we hear all the time. It sounds wise, but the message really starts by questioning it.
It does. The first big point is that phrase isn't in the Bible at all.
Yeah.
It's believed to be an old Persian saying, just sort of general human wisdom.
So not a scriptural promise.
Not at all. And that's the key. Because for someone going through a really serious, persistent struggle, it can actually be discouraging. It often falls flat.
Because for some things, it just isn't true, is it? Not on this side of heaven.
Exactly. The message gives some hard examples. Chronic illness, losing a child, a deep family estrangement. These things don't just pass.
He had that funny personal example, too, about his eyes.
Oh, yeah, the presbyopia. Really old eyes, he called it.
Yeah.
And his point was, that's not going to pass. It's only going to get worse. He'll need new prescriptions. It's a persistent reality.
So if the platitude doesn't work, where's the hope? What's the pivot?
The pivot is that the phrase can be true, but only if we completely expand our vision. We have to become, as he puts it, truly a kingdom people. We have to understand on a deep level that how it is right now is not how it's always going to be.
And that means looking beyond our current reality, which brings us to this really powerful imagery he uses from 2 Corinthians 5.
Yes, this is the foundation for the whole message. Paul draws this incredible contrast. He says, our current life, our body, is just an earthly tent.
A tent.
And here's the hope. We have a building from God, an eternal house in heaven, not built by human hands.
And that distinction is everything, isn't it? A tent versus a building. I mean, what is a tent? It's fragile.
It's fragile, it's temporary, it's vulnerable. Like those old tents that would drip rain on you. They're easily compromised. And our bodies, this tent, are just like that. You ran through some stats that are just staggering.
Like your heart beating over 100,000 times a day.
Yeah, and your blood traveling 168 million miles. I mean, so much has to go right just for us to wake up in the morning. The fragility is constant.
And Paul says that while we're in this tent, we groan and we're burdened.
Right. And that groaning, it's not just complaining. It's this deep longing for something permanent, for that eternal house. The word for burden literally means to be weighed down by a heavy load.
There was a really interesting nuance he pointed out in the translation, too, about the tent not just being destroyed.
Yes, that's so important. A better translation is that it's being dismantled. That implies a purpose, a plan. It's not random destruction. It's a process being carried out by the master builder.
Which is a very different way to look at hardship. But we still struggle to let go of the burdens, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. That's where he brought up the idea of being worry and anxiety hoarders. We cling to these things, these heavy loads, because we think if we're in control, we're safe, and we live in this constant state of fret, which is just not how we were designed to live.
So the way out is to shift our whole timeline, to realize that eternity isn't something that starts when we die.
Yes. For a follower of Jesus, eternity begins right now. Our freedom, our liberation from that burden can start today. But we have to stop staring at the problems.
And start looking toward Jesus.
And toward what he's building. This is where we have to engage with God as the master builder. All the stuff we build, our finances, our houses, our success, the message is blunt. 100% of it will fail. It won't last.
But what God is building, that's eternal.
Exactly. In the grand scheme of things, this life, this tent, is just a whisper, a sliver of the whole picture.
So how do we do that practically? How do we submit to a master builder day to day?
It's about recognizing who the expert is. He used that great analogy of being a builder himself. He said he's an okay framer, but then there's Tex, the master carpenter.
Right.
And when you're working with a master, you don't argue with his plans. You submit. You trust his expertise. It's the same with God. We have to constantly be asking, what would God want in our life right now?
Even when it feels counterintuitive to our immediate comfort.
Especially then. Our submission has to be rooted in his promises. Jesus says in John 14, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. I am going there to prepare a place for you." The need is you. If we focus on the promise, not the problem, our hearts can find peace.
Okay, let's talk about the guarantee. This wasn't just wishful thinking. The message talks about a deposit of confidence.
Yes, the deposit. This is the Holy Spirit. And to get the full impact, you have to understand what that word meant back then. The Greek word, arhoben, was a business term. It was like earnest money, a down payment.
So it's a contractual guarantee.
It's a contractual guarantee that the full payment is coming. It's a promise that is legally binding. It means God is with us right now, walking with us, illuminating the path through the struggle. This is why Paul can be so confident.
And knowing that changes everything. It connects directly to Romans 8, doesn't it?
The ultimate confidence chapter. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Yeah.
Nothing can separate us from his love. But then he takes it a step further. We're not just conquerors, we're more than conquerors.
That phrase, more than conquerors, is so powerful. What does that actually mean? It's not just about winning the fight.
It's not. It means that God actually uses the thing that was meant to destroy you.
The hardship itself.
The hardship itself, the financial ruin, the chronic pain, he uses it to bring you into deeper intimacy with him. You're not just surviving, you're winning on a God level. The victory is guaranteed.
The struggle becomes the path.
Is the path. He told that story about playing basketball in Mozambique. He and another pastor were playing with these two local kids who had been through so much. And he said he realized mid-game, there is no way we're going to lose this game. That's the mindset. We know the outcome.
So because of that deposit, because we know the outcome, how we live is no longer dependent on our circumstances. Problems might not get solved in a neat little 30-minute episode.
Right.
But they are not forever.
They are not forever. And that realization, that shift, forces a huge change in our priorities.
So if we're really thinking eternally, what becomes important? It's not the house projects or the new car.
No, it's relationships. It's other people. Because the master builder is building us into a community. The only things that transfer from this tent to that eternal building are our relationship with God and our relationships with people. Everything else depreciates to zero.
And the secret to joy is in that shift.
It is, 2 Corinthians 5:9. So, we make it our goal to please him, whether we are home in the body or away from it. That becomes the new bottom line.
I have to say, though, that sounds incredibly hard when you're facing devastation to have your first thought be, God, how can I please you in this?
It is impossibly hard in our own strength. That's why the Spirit is the deposit. That question is an act of submission. It's giving up your right to fret about the tent being dismantled and instead looking for the eternal purpose.
And we saw that lived out in the stories he shared, first with his own dad.
Yeah. His father, 87 years old, after a massive stroke. He could have just focused on what he'd lost. But his focus was eternal. He told his son, Mike, I just have felt like Jesus is going to use this so that other people can see him. That's choosing to please God. Right there in the valley.
And the other story about Joni Eareckson, that one it reframes everything.
It does. Paralyzed in a diving accident. She says she hopes to bring her wheelchair to heaven, not as a trophy of her suffering, but just to put it in a corner, so she can stand on grateful, glorified legs and tell Jesus that the wheelchair was a bruising of the blessing.
A bruising of the blessing. That's a radical idea.
It's the whole point. The pain, the weakness, the paralysis, that was the mechanism of the blessing.
Right.
It forced her to lean on his strength in a way she never could have otherwise. Her weakness was the access point to his power.
Which shatters that illusion of control we all cling to.
Completely. For those of us who are control freaks, that illusion is going to be shattered one way or another. But joy comes so much sooner when we stop fighting the dismantling process and just submit to the master builder's plan.
So to bring it all together then, the main takeaway is that while the platitude might be false in the short term, some things won't pass in this lifetime, they will absolutely pass in eternity. And our freedom starts now, when our goal isn't to fix the circumstances, but simply to please God within them.
And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. Control is the greatest of all illusions. There is only one who is in control, and the sooner we realize that and submit to his loving plan, a plan guaranteed by the deposit of the Spirit, the better off we truly are.
A full video recording of this incredible message, "This Too Shall Pass," is linked in the description for this deep dive. You can find it on the Living Hope webpage, on YouTube, Facebook, and on their church app.
Just go to WeNatureLivingHope.com. All the resources are right there for you to explore this further. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.